Thanks for your company, and hopefully we've got the company again of Joel Gibson. One big switch. Can you hear me, Joel?
I can hear you. More importantly, can you hear me, Andrew?
Absolutely. Well, very good point. All right, well, let's talk about some of these increases. I mean, an 18% whack and your electricity bill, God, and you're getting interest rate rises as well. That is very difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, look, that's about $300 for an average household. And as you say, it's on top of what's already happening. You know, we've seen a petrol price peak at the moment in Adelaide and in Melbourne, coming soon to Sydney and Brisbane, of $2.39 for unleaded 91, and that's the highest peak we've ever seen. So that's going to be the story.
I've got to say, soon to be $2.59 in September. But anyway, go on.
Yeah, and then some, probably, at this rate. So this is coming. These power price rises come at the worst possible time for households. We've got petrol through the roof. Grocery inflation, obviously, is a massive story at the moment. And then, you know, now it's power price rises. And even Telstra and Optus in the last couple of days have increased the rates on their mobile plans. So there aren't many bills you can point to at the moment that are not going up. And in the case of energy, you know, a lot of people are getting a $300 price rise.
And your firm's kind of started out with the ability, encouraging people to have the ability to switch off into these smaller energy providers. They're all going belly up now, aren't they?
Yeah, look, the advice we've been giving people probably in the last couple of years would have been have a look at switching and shopping around. Some of the smaller retailers, as you say, were the cheapest, but of course they were just, you know, as time has told, they were passing on the wholesale price essentially. And when wholesale prices increased sixfold over the past year and a bit, some of those retailers started begging their customers to leave and announced price increases, you know, in May of as much as 100% or more. So basically the advice we can now give people based on the announcements of the last month or so is that, you know, some increases are around the 5 to 20% mark, mostly with the bigger retailers. Some increases are around double, and they're mostly with the smaller retailers. And there are good reasons for that we can go into. But if you want to get a, you know, cheaper power price over the coming year, it's probably worth having a look at the big stable retailers, which are in a much stronger position at the moment to offer, you know, at least lower price hikes, and probably at the end of the day, plans that will be around 10% less than the government reference price, and that's going to be in the next 6 months. That's going to be a pretty good plan.
And is this just the start? Because we saw this report during the week that the suspension of the electricity market might drive prices up even further.
Yeah, well, that hasn't even flowed through yet, of course. I mean, what we're seeing now is the outcome of what was happening in the wholesale market probably, you know, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months ago. So wholesale prices started rocketing upwards since the beginning of the year, really, and that was driven mainly by, you know, shortages of black coal, you know, soaring commodity prices in black coal, soaring gas prices, you know, coal power stations that were down because of maintenance or unplanned outages. That's now flowing through into household and business power bills. We haven't even seen yet the impact of the chaos of the last month or so, the supply crisis. So certainly, you know, energy futures and expert forecasts and predictions, there's not a whole lot of light at the end of the tunnel in the rest of this calendar year. We just got to hope that next year we see wholesale prices return to earth, and then maybe retail prices will follow.
Indeed. Well, it's an interesting time for the federal government, isn't it? Because there was a period in Australia for several years where power prices were the number one political issue, and a lot of the blame for that was placed on Labor's renewable target, or certainly a failure to invest in the system as we transition. Can you see this happening again?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of competition right now, isn't there, for serious cost of living issues. That's the only thing that would stop energy prices from being... I mean, you know, mortgages are going up, of course, as well. And come this time next year or February next year, you know, Westpac, for example, is predicting that the cash rate will be around 2.6%, which would put, you know, the average sort of variable home loan around in the sort of 4.5 to 6% range. Now, that is going to obviously cause a lot of budget pain for households. Energy prices are going to be a massive issue as well. And then, of course, petrol prices, as we've talked about, may yet be headed for record highs after September, and there's just not a lot. There's just not a lot of light when it comes to the household budget at the moment. Not a lot of hope I can give people, except for the fact that it is possible if you do a little bit of work, as we've seen with these price increases, how different they are between some retailers and others. It is possible still to save hundreds of dollars by spending a little bit of time just kind of playing the market.
Do you believe wholesale electricity prices will go down next year, or is that more of a hope?
It's a hope, but it's not a hope without foundation. Look, there are some expert forecasts that say that the worst of it should subside, in the new year. But look, you have to be a pretty brave person to make a bold prediction about that based on what we're seeing at the moment. So I think certainly I don't hold a lot of hope that we're going to see lower wholesale prices or lower residential retail prices in this calendar year. But I think there is still some hope that next year things will stabilise.
We're all hoping for next year, but it feels like it's been that way for a while. Joel Gibson from One Big Switch, thanks very much.
Thanks, Andrew.